to the numerator, taking the opposite sign. Opposite sign in front of the radical, of course. Okay, now, in this case, in front of the radical. But that means that we don't need you to simplify the denominator by not having a radical. We just want you do the process of rationalizing the numerator. So the conjugate of 3 minus the square root of x minus 3 is multiplying by 3 plus the square root of x minus 3. So what stays underneath the radical sign, those signs don't change. It's only the sign that's outside the radical that changes. And again, what you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. So whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator. So really what we're doing is we're taking this whole quantity times this whole quantity. So if you go ahead and FOIL that out, 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times the square root of x minus 3 is plus 3 root x minus 3. And then 3 times negative square root of x minus 3 is negative 3 square root of x minus 3. And then a negative times a positive, we know we're going to have a negative here. But then the square root of x minus 3 times the quantity x minus square root of x minus 3 is just x minus 3, which has to be put in parentheses as a quantity. And then we're eventually going to have to distribute that negative. Okay, so that's our numerator right now. We have some simplifying to do. But our denominator becomes the square root of x times this whole quantity, 3 plus the square root of x minus 3. And so we get 3 times the square root of x, which is 3 square root of x. And then the square root of x times the square root of x minus 3 is the square root of x squared minus 3. Okay, so up here, if you look, we know in our numerator, those terms cancel out. And then we have 9 minus, if you distribute that negative, x plus 3, which can be, let me just write this denominator down here, and then we'll talk about that in a second. Let's bring that down. If we combine like terms, we have negative x plus 12 all over. Now, this is where I was saying, is normally we would rationalize our denominator so we don't have any radicals left over. But this wasn't asking you to simplify. It was just saying do the process of rationalizing the numerator only. So in this case, we're going to leave our denominator alone. And so you'll know when to do that. Sorry, I'm messing that up. Let me just change that. You'll know when to do that when it says rationalize the numerator. It means rationalize the numerator by multiplying by the conjugate, and then if there so happens to be a radical in the denominator, so be it. But they wanted to see that you could rationalize the numerator by multiplying the conjugate of the numerator to the whole entire quotient. Okay, so this is our final answer. And I know it kind of looks messy here, but there's a radical sign. Okay, so that's all we have, and go ahead and do your day 2 homework, and I'll be able to answer any questions you have in class tomorrow. Thanks.